It's 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Sandithavam. The construction of the Lower Malvathu Oya development project will recommence soon. Sri Lanka hoping to continue talks with bondholders after consulting the IMF. The final rites of Dr. Aryaratna to be performed with full state honours. The admission cards will be issued for candidates sitting for the 2023-24 GCE ordinary level examination next week. Temperatures to reach caution level in 7 provinces tomorrow. News overseas. Myanmar media reports that Aung San Suu Kyi moved from prison. In sports, AIS rower Shalon clinches triple gold at rowing nationals. The steering committee on the Lower Malvathu Oya multipurpose development project met recently under the initiative of the additional district secretary lands at the Anuradhapura district secretariat. The construction of the Lower Malvathu Oya development project will recommence expeditiously. This project involves 4 regional secretariat divisions. 3 of them belong to the Anuradhapura district and 1 to the Mannar district. This Lower Malvathu Oya multipurpose development project, which started in 2021, was temporarily suspended due to the recent economic calamities. Once again this year, 27,000 million rupees has been allocated for the future construction. The Mannar district will reap the highest benefit of this project, which includes improvement of irrigation systems, drinking water, electricity generation, flood and drought control, mining industry and tourism. The final rites of the late Dr. A.T. Aryaratna, the founder and the President Emeritus of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement of Sri Lanka, will be performed with full state honours. Sri Lanka Bimania Ahangamage Tudor Aryaratna passed away on Tuesday at the age of 93 while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo. Following his demise, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and the officials of the Sarvodaya convened a meeting to discuss the funeral arrangements. During the meeting, the Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs, Public Administration and Provincial Councils, Pradeep Yasaratna, was instructed to see to it that the final rites of the late Dr. Aryaratna were performed with full state honours. Dr. Aryaratna's remains will lie in state at the Sarvodaya headquarters in Moratuwa from 4 p.m. until noon on Saturday the 20th. The funeral procession will proceed from there to Independence Square in Colombo, followed by the final religious rites. The cremation will take place at 4 p.m. The Sarvodaya Shramadana movement, a grassroots humanitarian organization based on the concept of sharing of labor, thought and energy for the reawakening of all, has been active throughout Sri Lanka since 1958, despite the numerous hardships it has faced over the years. The Department of Examinations said the admission cards will be issued for candidates sitting for the 2023-24 GCE ordinary level examination next week. School applicants can obtain the admission card through the respective principals, while it is sent via post to the private candidates. The O-level exam will be held from May 6th to the 15th. The Department of Examinations said 452,979 candidates will sit for the exam this year. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The government of Sri Lanka says it hopes to continue discussions with the bondholders with a view to reaching common ground ahead of the International Monetary Fund Board consideration of the second review of Sri Lanka's Extended Fund Facility Programme. The Finance Ministry yesterday issued a statement announcing that the government has concluded the initial restricted discussions with 9 members of the steering committee of the ad hoc group of bondholders regarding its international sovereign bonds. The steering committee as a whole comprises 10 of the largest members of the group, with the group controlling approximately 50% of the aggregate outstanding amount of ISBs. In its statement, Sri Lanka's Finance Ministry said that the parties failed to come to an agreement on restructuring terms despite the constructive discussions. Bloomberg reported the failure to arrive at a deal puts pressure on Sri Lankan authorities who need to make progress on debt restructuring to keep funds flowing from the IMF. Further, the statement elucidated that the steering committee had not agreed to an extension of the restricted discussions upon expiration of the current restricted period. However, issuing a statement on Wednesday, State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinga clarified that Sri Lankan authorities continue to engage all debt restructuring negotiations in good faith, within principles of equitable treatment among creditors and with maximum transparency within the norms of such negotiations. The Met Department had issued a weather alert for extreme heat in parts of the island tomorrow. Accordingly, the heat index, the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to reach caution level at some places in the northern, north-central, western, Sabragama, eastern, southern and the northwestern provinces and also the Monoragla district. In its advisory, the department cautioned that heat cramps and heat exhaustion and continued activity could result in heat stroke. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
The government has concluded the initial restricted discussions with 9 members of the steering committee of the ad hoc group of bondholders regarding its international sovereign bonds. During the discussions, which spanned over the past 3 weeks, Sri Lanka was joined by its legal and financial advisers, Clifford Chance and Lazard, respectively, while the restricted members of the steering committee were joined by the group's legal and financial advisers, White & Case and Rothschild & Company, respectively. The steering committee as a whole comprises 10 of the largest members of the group, with the group controlling approximately 50% of the aggregate outstanding amount of ISBs, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Election Commission said that the 2019 voter registration lists will be displayed in all Grama Niladhari offices from the 23rd of this month. Grama Niladharis have already handed over voter registration lists to district officers, and the district officers would take necessary action with respect to each Grama Niladhari division. Additional Elections Commissioner Saman Sriratnayaka said the Election Commission stated that after checking the 2019 voter register, voters who do not have their name included in the list should file a claim, and came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Making headlines tonight, Myanmar media reports that Aung San Suu Kyi moved from prison. North Korean spy satellite launch appears imminent, US think tank says. And the Solomon Islands Beijing ties major election issue. Several media outlets in Myanmar reporting that the military has moved ousted and detained leader Aung San Suu Kyi out of a prison in the capital. It is not clear where she has been taken to. A military spokesman claimed it is making measures to protect elderly people from severe heat. He said the effort is not only for the 78-year-old Aung San Suu Kyi, but people who need it. April is the hottest time of the year in Myanmar. A US think tank says satellite images show that while North Korea may have temporarily cancelled plans for a spy satellite launch, preparations are underway to proceed with it in the near future. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, or CSIS, released on Tuesday the results of an analysis of imagery captured early this month of the Sohae satellite launching station. The facility is located in Tongsheng-ri, in the country's northwest. People in the Solomon Islands have headed to the polls for a general election. It took place as China expands its influence in the South Pacific. Voting to decide 50 seats got underway from 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Polling stations closed later in the day, and the final result is expected next week or later. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and on to development news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited the Coat Lodge estate owned by the Udapusalawa Plantation Company in Nuwara and Peko Trail yesterday morning to explore opportunities for the revival of the tourism industry around the picturesque hills of Nuwara. Notably, the President embarked on this journey by traversing the Peko Trail. Founded by long-time mountain climber and running instructor Miguel Conat, the Peko Trail spans 300-plus kilometers through the central highlands of Sri Lanka, regarded as one of Asia's best-kept secret routes. Originating from Kandy, it extends south towards the Hatton and Horton Plains National Park, then east through Haputale and Alla, before meandering around Nuwara town. That came to you in development news.
moving on with sports news.
Asian International School's talented rower Shalon Gunaratne has made history once again, securing the prestigious schoolboys colour shield at the 39th National Rowing Championship. The achievement marks his triple gold medal win, making him the best junior national oarsman. The championship, organised by the Amateur Rowing Association at the Devanna Rowing Centre in Batramulla, witnessed Gunaratne's outstanding performance. That's sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC has announced the appointment of top international investment banker Shahan Muhsin as chairman and financial services professional Raja Senanayaka as deputy chairman effective April 22nd, 2024. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The overall outlook of the Colombo Stock Exchange for 2024 seems to be positive due to the positive outlook for the country as a whole, said the chairman of the CSE, Dilshan Veerasekara. There is a significant recovery in economic activity that we see, which is now translating into the capital markets and specifically to the Colombo Stock Exchange. Notably, the turnover levels of the exchange have experienced a significant uptick from what it was at the beginning of the year. One can observe an increase from its daily average turnover of around 715 million rupees in January to the current comparatively more stable 1.8 billion ADT in March. And that's economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western and Sabragama provinces, also in the Gaul and Matara districts after 2 p.m. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the north-central, central and northwestern provinces, also in the Manar district during the afternoon or night. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabragama and central provinces, and in the Gaul and the Matara districts during the morning hours as well. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The construction of the Lower Malwatu Oya development project will recommence soon. Sri Lanka hoping to continue talks with bondholders after consulting the IMF. The final rites of Dr. Aryaratne to be performed with full state honours. The admission cards will be issued for candidates sitting for the 2023-24 GCE ordinary level examination next week. Temperatures to reach caution level in 7 provinces tomorrow. The Myanmar media reports that Aung San Suu Kyi moved from prison. And AIS rower Shalon clinches triple gold at the Rowing Nationals. On that note, we conclude tonight's news broadcast. And now it's back to host Ramesh, all decked out in vibrant colours tonight, to serenade you and take you to the end of transmission. All yours, Ramesh.